Hello and welcome to True Audiophiles. Talking about my favorite albums of 2024. How I'm going to handle it is I have essentially 10 of my kind of honorable mentions, which barely missed my tops. And then I'll have the top 10 albums of this year for myself. This year in general is kind of a weird one because a lot of these albums were kind of sort of a disappointment. Some were still better than maybe previous albums, but still not some of the best work by some of these artists. But also, but there were some that were a little bit of a surprise in the right direction too. But anyways, we'll go over this. We'll start off with my honorable mentions. And by the way, next week I'll be going over my favorite reissues of this year. So stay tuned for that for next week. So anyway, let's get started with my honorable mentions for this year. I'm going to start off with a couple that I don't have physical copies of. First one being Kendrick Lamar. He just released digitally a version of his new album. I think it came out end of November, beginning of December. I've listened to it a few times and I definitely dig it. Definitely deserves an honorable mention here. It comes out, I think, in physical format sometime next year. I think like March or something like that. But anyway, sounds like it's going to be another great album by Kendrick Lamar. Next one up is David Gilmour. And kind of give you a little bit of a backstory. I am a Pink Floyd fan. I can't say I'm a diehard or huge Pink Floyd fan, but I am a Pink Floyd fan. That being said, I'm not a huge David Gilmour fan. And when it comes to his solo work, I should say. I should stress that strongly. Love what he does with Pink Floyd, but I can't say that I'm a huge fan of his solo works. The new album, however, is probably one of my favorites of his solo efforts, so it definitely deserves an honorable mention. Just doesn't quite get it there to being one of my favorite albums of this year. So, all right, now we're going to go over the ones that are honorable mentions that I have physical copies of. The first one is one that is from a artist that I just really love in terms of her devotion to her fans, and really took a lot of effort to reach out and really show her appreciation for her fans. And her name's Cobra Page. This is the album. It's called Like No Others. It's a self-funded release that came out. She used to be in a band called Cobra and the Lotus, and they opened up for Kiss back several years ago, probably at least 10 years ago, and that's how I found out about them. Met her after her performance, got a signature from her, got a picture with her. She was really great then, and ever since then, she's been really great on social media with her fans. And this is actually a very good album too. I'm not putting it as an honorable mention just because of how great she is with her fans, but it's because it's actually pretty good. Kind of a rock pop album, but definitely harder on the rock side, but good solid album. Next one kind of took me by surprise a little bit. I figured I'd give it a try. I wasn't sure if I'd like it, but it's pretty good. It's close to being in my top, but not quite there. But it's a country album by Gwen Stefani called Bouquet. Didn't know what to expect from it. I'm not surprised she did a country album, considering she's either married or dating Blake Shelton, country star. But pretty catchy, good pop country album. So I was pretty surprised by it. This next one is from an artist where I've loved her first, I think, 2 or 3 albums quite a bit. Her last album was kind of a disappointment. Didn't really do much for me. This one's definitely a step above that last album, but still not quite at the level of those previous 2 or 3. But it's Kacey Musgraves and Deeper Well. Definitely appreciate her, appreciate this album. Definitely a step up and step in the right direction from her previous last album that came out. Next one is from an artist that I've really enjoyed over the years. I have to say that I do appreciate her earlier work better. I think the style of music she was doing back then was more appealing to me, but this stuff's still very good. But that's Charli XCX, and this is Brat. This is the version that has the 3 additional tracks on it, the 2 LP set, and She also did release a kind of an extended version, if you will, that came out this year as a digital format. I have not seen a physical version of that yet, but had some remixes and stuff like that, and I really like that version as well. Next one up is from Halsey, and it is The Great Impersonator. Yes, Great Impersonator. This is one of the alternate covers that was available through her website. Good album, not quite the top 10. There's definitely some solid tracks on this, and there's several that I really like on here. Overall, I think it's a good, solid album. Next one up is from probably one of my favorite rappers of all times, if not my favorite rapper of all time. He's right up there anyways, but his early stuff was just amazing. This definitely doesn't quite reach that level, but it's still, in my opinion, much better than some of the stuff I've heard recently from him. And that's LL Cool J, and this one's called The Force, came out this year. Definitely a solid album, some guest star appearances on this one. Good, solid album. Another one of these ones that from kind of the theme that I was going on, where, you know, their previous stuff was stuff I liked better. Her last album, kind of like Kacey Musgraves, was a disappointment to me. I thought it was I just didn't really like it much at all. This is definitely a step up from that album, but still not quite at the level of her first album. It's Billie Eilish. And when I say first album, I mean her first full-length album, not her EP. But this is her latest one. Still very good, though. And it's called Hit Me Hard and Soft. Good album. Overall, like I said, it's not as enjoyable as her first full-length album, but definitely better than her last album. So, and last on my list of honorable mentions, this one was really close. I really thought that I was going to this one came close to my top 10, but anyways, it's Beyonce and Cowboy Carter. And no, it's not a country album like people think. There are some country songs on here, but it kind of runs the gamut of different genres, mainly hip-hop and, you know, R&B and stuff like that. But there's definitely some country tracks on here, like a cover of Jolene, Dolly Parton's Jolene, and the big one that was really big and popular. But there's also a cover of Blackbird from the Beatles, which is amazing as well. But overall, really good album. So almost made my top 10. And here are the top 10. This is one that surprisingly, it made my top 10, but it still was a disappointment to me because her last album was just out of this world great. And that is Dua Lipa, Radical Optimism. So still a really good album, but just doesn't hit as well as the last album she made, which in my opinion is just one of the best albums of modern times, quite frankly. I'm not afraid to say. Next one up is Jerry Cantrell, I Want Blood. Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains. This one was done in a special way with the LP. There's 2 LPs. The second LP is actually spoken word versions of the music of the album, and it's not just them taking the vocals track off of the songs. They actually re-recorded the vocals in a spoken word format. Kind of fun. The album is really good though. Next one up is kind of a punk album, a modern era punk. It's the Linda Lindas. Some really fun and great hard-edged stuff on this one here. This one came kind of as a surprise to me. I had never heard of them before. Actually, the next 2 were kind of like that. But this one, I saw some Facebook feeds about some record stores selling out of their copies and getting new ones in, and thought I'd just kind of give it a try, and so I streamed it, and I was very impressed. And I'm probably going to botch the name because I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name right, but I think it's Emil or Emil and the Sniffers. And this is Cartoon Darkness. So, amazing album. Kind of has the lead guitarist is very, has some influenced. It seems like Ace Frehley really influenced him quite a bit, because there's definitely some Ace Frehley feel to some of his work on this album too, which was kind of fun. But their other 2 albums are very good as well. This one, again, I saw them on a late night talk show perform, and I was blown away. They've got like 3 or 4 other albums, and I had to buy them after I heard this album. It's The Warning, Keep Me Fed. Basically, some sisters from Mexico that made this band, and this is a great album. So you got to go grab that. I was blown away how good that one was. So, and their other albums are pretty good too. Not quite at the same level of this one, but next one up here is from kind of a godfather of thrash metal. He's released a solo album, the lead guitarist from Slayer, Kerry King, from Hell I Rise. Just awesome thrash. Basically sound is hard and heavy, just like you would expect it to be. Just awesome album. This one is far from hard and heavy, but still really catchy, and I really enjoy it a lot. It's Sabrina Carpenter, short and sweet, and she is definitely short, but and she keeps talking about how that's that's how she came up with the title. But super catchy stuff. The song Espresso has been really popular, but overall this is just a really catchy album. Kind of caught me by surprise that I liked it as much as I did. Next one up is from sadly a man who has left us. One of my favorites in the music industry. From his work as a recording engineer and producer to an artist way back in the 80s with Big Black and some others, and now he's also had his swan song, I guess, with the band Shellac that he's had around for a little while. This is called To All Trains, and this is actually a really good album as well. Got to check that one out if you're into his work at all. This one kind of came as a surprise to me for several reasons, but it's Body Count, Merciless. What made this one interesting is, one, he did a cover of Comfortably Numb, different lyrics, but basically the same melody and all that kind of stuff. And there's a very long story about it, but bottom line is David Gilmour liked it so much that he decided to play on it. So he guest appears on the album, the song Comfortably Numb that's on here, and there's also some guest work from some thrash metal vocalists on there as well. So good hardcore metal album, and it was kind of a surprise because I kind of liked their other albums that they've come out with recently, but this one definitely is a step above. So last but certainly not least is an artist I really respect a lot. I think he does some great work. Some stuff's hit or miss, but this one's a hit. It's Jack White and his Untitled album. This one's definitely got that traditional raw hard rock edge to it that you expect from him. I really appreciate this album, and it's really good. So that is the list here for you. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what your favorites were from this year. I'd love to hear in the comments section on this video, so let me know. That's everything I have for this week. I hope you have a good rest of your day today, and also stay tuned next week for my best of 2024 reissues. So that's everything I have. I hope you have a great rest of the day and a great rest of the week. Thanks a lot.